Hi everyone, my name is Mirela Roncevic. I am the founder and director of the Free Reading Zones project. I have been invited by the Bureau of Culture of Sao Paulo to talk to you today about its mission, its short-term and long-term goals, and I'm truly grateful for this opportunity to give this lecture at the 10th International Seminar of Public and Community Libraries. I hope that the insight and the information that I will share with you today about free reading zones is useful. And more importantly, I hope that it inspires you to embark on your own initiatives and to launch your own free reading zones wherever you may be, in Brazil and anywhere else around the world. The core mission of free reading zones is to spread reading, and that is really the core mission of libraries. It is to enable as much access to books as possible through the use of the digital medium. I believe in the power of technology to do more good than harm, and I believe that our industry, the book industry, hasn't really tapped into it yet. Other industries have been transformed by it in the past, such as the music industry, the journalism industry, and I think they've been transformed for the better. However, the book industry is trailing behind, and this is for a good reason. We've had to overcome a lot of obstacles when it came to ebooks, but at the same time, we haven't really been able to recognize that ebooks are trying to tell us not to replicate what we've done with print. They have been telling us all along, I believe, to innovate, to do more than what we are able to do with print, not to eliminate print, not to pit one format against the other, instead to simply tap into the potential of the digital medium to do what print cannot do. And the digital medium can do one thing that the print medium will never be able to do, and that is equalize access to knowledge, equalize opportunities, equalize access to education by ensuring that any piece of literature, any work in digital format can in fact be accessible to anyone, anywhere on the planet at any time, regardless of the person's status, education, background, location, affiliation, etc. That's powerful, that's inspiring, that's in every sense of the word transformative. Free reading zones is just that. It's an attempt to show what an ebook can do at its highest level. We can take now in the 21st century, in the year 2017, we can make ebooks omnipresent. The only question is, the million-dollar question is, how do we do that in ways that compensates creators? How do we do it in ways that allows libraries to fulfill their missions and allows publishers and authors to be fairly compensated for what is rightfully theirs? How do we create that circle in which everyone benefits? It's possible, and we just need to experiment more with different models and ensure that everyone's not only on board, but also cooperating. It certainly requires all of us who work with ebooks to transform our own identities. We need to really take a look at ourselves and ask ourselves, what have we done to stifle the progress of ebooks? Have we been too conservative? Have we truly experimented enough? Have we gone out there and tested models before stating that they're not working for us and that they're not working for publishers? I believe that we haven't, but we are certainly moving in the right direction, and we are seeing more and more initiatives that point people in the direction of a future in which people get to read books in digital format for free. Now, yes, at the core of this mission is my belief that content in digital format is to be accessed by all people anywhere on the planet freely, but it is not to be done in such a way that doesn't allow publishers and content creators to get their fair share. So the model that we use in free reading zones ensures that publishers and authors do get paid based on what is read. It has many, many benefits. One of them is that it allows publishers to open up their backlists, to expose large amounts of content for reading the kind of content that has long stopped being available in bookstores, that libraries were never able to purchase to begin with, or that very few libraries purchased. It allows publishers to create new revenue, new ways of earning money and compensating their authors. It allows libraries to expose more books for reading. We live in a world where over 1 million new titles are published every single year. Not even the best libraries can keep up with that amount anymore. Libraries simply are not in a position to amass all that content. It simply isn't possible. So ebooks are allowing us to expose content, to expose literature in various new ways that allows all of us to fulfill our missions, but most of all, that allows readers to get to the books that they want. The benefit, there are many benefits, obviously, to free reading zones, but the one that is especially dear to my heart, and the one that I am especially mindful of, is its ability to equalize access to knowledge in communities that are not endowed with affluent libraries, in communities in remote rural areas, in developing countries, in places around the world where libraries have, even the places that do have libraries, that have libraries with very, very limited means. I have had the privilege to live and work in New York. Most of my life I have been exposed to the best the publishing industry has to offer and the best the public libraries of the world have to offer. But once I stepped outside the United States, which I do frequently now, I have learned that what I have been used to in the United States is not what the rest of the world sees. And we in the United States, those of us who have tested different models, who have done so much with ebooks, can take the lead, and we can lead by example. We can show the rest of the world all the great aspects of ebooks and help them achieve the same levels of engagement with literature and literacy, and not just in institutions, but beyond them. So free reading zones is an attempt to spread not only reading, but the actual, to rethink the idea of a library in the 21st century. A library is a physical place that stores physical objects, yes, but it can also be a virtual place, completely invisible, that can store unlimited numbers of titles, accessible to unlimited numbers of people. So the idea of FREZ is, why don't we just create as many libraries, virtual libraries, as we can around the world? We can take a small area, we can take any geographic area and turn it into a zone inside which people have access to books completely free of charge. For example, we can turn hospitals into free reading zones, city parks. We can turn airports into free reading zones, or entire cities, or better yet, entire countries. How do we do that? How do we create big free reading zones, which obviously showed the most advantages? How do we do that in ways that compensates, I keep coming back to this, compensates authors and publishers? If libraries, especially libraries outside the United States and outside the most affluent cities around the world, if they have such limited means, they certainly cannot do it on their own. Well, that's where the idea for free reading zones came in. It was born out of my awareness that most libraries on this planet right now do not have the resources to really tap into the potential of ebooks. They cannot do it alone, but they can do it in cooperation with public and private entities of all kinds, government organizations, banks, insurance companies, all kinds of private corporations willing to support literacy. Many have done it for a long time anyway. So this isn't a new concept, but what's new about it is that we are now applying it to the digital medium. So if a library decides to go out into its community and turn an urban park into a free reading zone through the help from the local bank, the impact on the community is tremendous. Many more people are reached that do not necessarily go to the library. And the bank or the sponsor, whoever the sponsor may be, gets to show the human face. And this is something that they're always particularly interested in. Now, the key thing to remember is we need to preserve the integrity of that library. So the library itself does not become this place where sponsors get to promote their agendas. The dignity of the reading itself is certainly preserved, and we must ensure that the reading is never interrupted, and that it very much feels like a library. So this is what Free Reading Zones is about. This is what we've done the last couple of years. This has certainly been the center of my professional activities, the culmination of which took place last December in 2016 in the country of Croatia, where we launched the very first countrywide Free Reading Zones initiative. What we did in Croatia truly transformed everything we had done up to that point, because we were no longer dealing with a single entity. We were dealing with an entire country. Why Croatia? Well, clearly I have personal ties with the country. I was born there. But more importantly, I liked the idea of launching a free reading zone in a country where ebooks never took off, where publishers never warmed up to the idea of digitizing their backlists and front lists, where libraries never really made any serious efforts in digitizing their own collections or making ebooks available to people through various ebook platforms. A country where people simply did not invest much time and energy into thinking about ebooks. The point that we wanted to make was, if we created the right conditions in any place, in any country in the world, we will turn many people into readers. So that's what we did in Croatia. The pilot lasted for 1 month, for 4 weeks, between December 5th and January 5th, with the sole purpose of launching a free app that anyone inside the borders of Croatia would be able to access. Now, when we say inside the borders, we really mean anywhere inside the borders. You can be in the privacy of your own home. You could be sitting in a cafe in the main square of the capital. You could be on an island where there's no library and there's no bookstore. In fact, Croatia is a country of about 1,000 islands, so that made it all the more special. You can be on top of a mountain. You can be in a remote rural area in continental Europe. As long as you had access to the internet, you would be able to download the free app called Croatia Reads, and you would be able to read to your heart's desire from a collection of about 100,000 titles in several languages, including the native Croatian. The app was very simple and intuitive. We used an existing app by an Israeli company, which we masked. We gave it a new look and a new name, but the collection itself remained the same. The model was the same. We paid publishers based on what was actually read. And we allowed readers to simply go on these spontaneous reading journeys, which allowed them to read on their own terms and at their own pace. No middlemen, no advertising, nobody telling them what to read, how to read, allowing them to create personal collections, to create personal shelves, to share those shelves with other users or keep them private, and to go in and out of the app as they please for the entire duration of the pilot, which was, like I said, for 1 whole month. We learned a great deal from this experiment. I will share with you some of the findings. As we predicted and as we said all along, if we create the right conditions for the people, they will certainly prove to us that as much as they love print, and they do, they will embrace the digital medium wholeheartedly and without reservation. Within the first 24 hours, thousands of people across Croatia downloaded the free reading apps. The first week alone, we had already several thousand. By the end of week 4, we had over 33,000 users with very minimal promotion. We had people were downloading books, to our surprise, not only in the native language, but the vast majority in English and other languages. And people were downloading all sorts of books and types of books that they normally do not find in their bookstores. Again, this is in a country where ebooks never took off, where very few people understood and used ebooks before. We also learned from them through our engagement with them, either through customer service or through social media, that they really welcomed the idea of free reading, that they thought it was much more pleasant than they expected, much more intuitive. They appreciated the variety of the books, and the only negative feedback we ever got was, why did the pilot ended? We left a lot of people sad and disappointed when the pilot ended on January 5th, 2017. The goal of Croatia Reads, then the hope of Croatia Reads, is that other countries will, and libraries around the world will take notice and give it some thought. If a small country like Croatia with less than 5 million people can be turned into an open virtual library that allows people to go in and out of books freely, can we do more of that in places around the world that have even less access to books than people here do? I believe that we can. I believe that we will. It's only a matter of time. And as I've seen in my own industry, the shift is already taking place. Publishers are being more open to alternative models. Many publishers that worked with us, that were part of the Free Reading Zones project, showed enthusiasm and excitement and recognized the value of the project. In the last 10 years alone, I have seen much more openness toward alternative business models on the publishing end. But just as important to add, I am seeing more and more among librarians the willingness to step outside their comfort zones and go out into their communities. I think librarians are starting to slowly realize that the power of an open virtual library is immense, and it does not signal the end of libraries. To the contrary, it gets them to that next level of transformation, which is within their reach. And I think projects such as this really allowed them to show what they can do in their communities, again, without jeopardizing what they've always done. At the very, very basic, Free Reading Zones is about equalizing access to knowledge, spreading literacy, and giving access to books to as many people as possible. And I hope that this story inspires you, regardless of how small or big your community is, to consider doing something similar. There are many ways you can go about it. We chose one route. It's certainly not the only one. There are many companies out there that would probably be willing to partner with you. There are many companies out there already doing it. You can start small. You can start small as the little park next to your library, or a school, and see how it goes. One of the things I always tell my colleagues in my writings and my speeches is how important it is to fail and learn from failure. There's no other way. We are traditionally a very reserved industry. We don't exactly experiment all that much. Since the advent of print, since Gutenberg, we have been dealing with a very steady, reliable technology known as paper that really hasn't been challenged much. But we are at a point now where we are about to be seriously transformed. And this will require experimentation. And those of us that step outside our comfort zones are the ones that will learn the most and that will lead by example. So I will leave you with that. Actually, I will leave you with a quote from a book that I like about tradition and what it means to to try to go beyond it. A bird that would soar above tradition must have strong wings. So I wish you all soaring above tradition and keeping those wings strong. Thank you again so much for this opportunity. Feel free to contact me directly. My contact information is on the No Shelf Required website, noshelfrequired.com. It's the portal about ebooks and e-content that I run. I will be happy to answer any questions at any point from now on. Bye.